Hello and welcome back to Doctor Who, the cancelled years. In this video, we'll be covering season 29 of Doctor Who. So, let's get started. Season 29 would have been the second season for Richard Griffiths as the Doctor, the third season for Julius Wahala as Rain Cunningham, the second season for Ian Fraser as producer, and the third season for Ben Aronovich as script editor. This season would have acted as a continuation of season 28, as nothing noteworthy really changed between seasons. And now, let's get to the episodes. The first episode would have been Battleground, written by Ben Aronovich. This story would have been a prequel to the events of 1989's Battlefield, in which it was said that a future incarnation would have become Merlin and would have banished Morgaine. Now in this story, we see what was spoken of in Battlefield. We would have saw the Doctor taking the title of Merlin, banishing Morgaine, defeating the Destroyer, meeting King Arthur, and preparing everything for his predecessor as to not disturb the timelines. And we also discover that Rain was the Lady of the Lake, who was briefly mentioned in Battlefield. The second episode would have been Nightshade, written by Mark Gatiss. The story would have saw the Doctor considering retiring, as he believes he has done enough. He and Rain travel to the isolated village Crook Marshall in 1968. They soon discover that the villagers are being killed off. They find that the killer is an ancient sentience trapped within the earth since its formation, that feeds on nostalgia from the villagers, that's produced from an old TV show being rerun named Nightshade. The Doctor and Rain find themselves teamed up with Edmund Trevick, a washed up actor who played Professor Nightshade in the old TV show, to defeat the sentience. Eventually, the Doctor tricks the sentience into feeding off a supernova and traps it in a black hole it created. And after being convinced by Rain and hallucinations created by the sentience, the Doctor decides that he won't retire and that he'll go on. The third episode would have been Revolution, written by Rona Munro. This would have been a pseudo-historical type of story. The story shows what would have happened if the British Army won the Revolutionary War in 1776. In the case of this story, it shows that technology by 1892 has accelerated massively and that the whole world is occupied by the British. The story would have saw the Doctor and Rain arriving in the alternative 1892 and trying to find out where history changed. They soon discovered that in this universe, King George III never died and is still alive, and the Doctor soon discovers that King George is actually the Master in disguise. The Doctor figures out that the Master is changing history to make Earth a very advanced planet so that he can have his own army. The Doctor and Rain go back in time to 1776 to try and stop the Master from disrupting the timelines. They discover the Master kidnapped George III and held him prisoner in his TARDIS. At the end of the story, George III is freed and the Master escapes in his TARDIS before he's captured. And with that, history is restored, so that the British don't win the Revolutionary War. The final episode would have been Lungbarrow, written by Mark Platt. This would have been a Gallifrey story, and it would have been quite a big one. It featured many returning characters including Romana, Leela, K9 Mark 1 and 2, Andred, Rodan, Flavia, and a CIA agent from Genesis of the Daleks. The story would have saw the Doctor returning to Gallifrey. There, he's accused of murdering one of his cousins. In order to save his life, the Doctor must uncover dark secrets from his own past in an attempt to clear his name from within his ancestry home, the House of Lungbarrow. It turns out that the killer was one of the Doctor's other cousins named Glozpin. The story would have revealed a lot more about Gallifrey's history and reveals that Time Lords aren't born but created by looms due to an ancient curse set upon the people of Gallifrey a long time ago. The story also properly hints at the Doctor's own backstory, where we learn that the Doctor is somehow connected to one of Gallifrey's founding fathers, the Other. We never learn how they're connected, but all we know is that the Other is closer to the Doctor than anyone knows. In the end, Glozpin is killed and the House of Lungbarrow collapses over a cliff. And that would have concluded season 29 of Doctor Who. A fairly mixed season overall, and a decent end to the Cotsmore master plan. In the next video, we'll be covering season 30 of Doctor Who. Until then, thank you for watching, and goodbye.